Hello everybody, this is Shady here, and today I want to talk about probably the most kind of hype release to come out of the Game Awards, one of the announcements, and that is Project Sentry. So this is basically a new IP by the creators of Yakuza, yeah, and what's super friggin' interesting about this game is obviously, the studio has basically just been exclusively making Yakuza for like about 20 years, however long it's been. And yeah, it's just really cool to see them doing something different. I think, it's really interesting because I think a lot of us would essentially, over the last few years, they've really been ramping up these Yakuza releases to the point where, even though I love the games, it felt like, the burnout was eventually going to happen. So it's just really cool to see that they're doing something new. We're going to start a new story. And what I really like about this game is, obviously, first of all, it's going to be released in it's going to be in the year 1915, I believe they said, which is obviously, really interesting time in Japanese history, where you're going to be disconnected enough from the time period of the Yakuza games where things, things can be very different, and you don't have to worry necessarily about there being any kind of overlap, because obviously this game is going to be a very similar type of game by the looks of it. It's going to be kind of a sandboxy action adventure type of game, just like the Yakuza games. But from what it looks like, it's going to be kind of a lot more grittier and darker. It's going to definitely, I think they said it's going to be kind of a bit more kind of violent in a way. And this is going to be a very kind of tonally very different to the Yakuza games. Yeah, and I'm really interested to see this, because one thing I really love about the studio and the Yakuza games in general is, the games they do this really great thing where they the main stories are this kind of like a melodrama, but then we have these like great kind of side stories that are really wacky and silly. But it's going to be really cool to see them doing a kind of straight up more serious game, which is really cool. Because they do tell some amazing stories. Those really kind of the serious moments in the Yakuza games really friggin' hit hard. And yeah, it's just going to be so cool to see what they do with that. And yeah, I love the look of the protagonist. He looks awesome. That's one of the things I love. Like, I think we can all agree that Kiryu looking as like badass and like good looking as he does is kind of part of the appeal of the Yakuza series though. So to have a protagonist who looks equally as awesome is just really cool as well. Yeah, we got like him like smoking a cigarette as like one of the images, which is really cool. We got like a short kind of gameplay trailer as well. It's nothing too long. I think it's only a couple of minutes. You'll see it over this footage anyway, or you'll see footage of it over this video. Yeah, but it just looks really cool. And one of the things I'm most interested in is just obviously being able to kind of explore this time period, because it's not one you really see in games at all, is it? If I remember correctly, if I know my history, I believe this was kind of like the post kind of World War I era. And yeah, obviously it's a time in Japanese history where I believe isn't this like the end of kind of like the era of the samurais moving into more of a modern kind of society? So it's going to be really interesting. There's going to be probably a bit of a crossover there from what I remember. Yeah, so it's going to be really cool. And obviously, one of the things to mention is, I'm sure people know this already, but the head of the Yakuza series did leave the studio a couple of years back, didn't he? I think it was just before Yakuza 8 came out or something. So yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see this kind of team post him do what they can. Obviously, Yakuza 8 turned out pretty well. And I'm really freaking excited for the Pirate Yakuza game coming out next year. Yeah, and obviously, I still expect there to be some more Yakuza stuff moving forward. I don't think they're abandoning that series, because obviously I'm pretty certain, I think we can all expect Kiwami 3 to happen at some point at least. And yeah, I would imagine 4 and 5 are going to get that same treatment, because obviously if you've gone from like 0 in the Kiwami games, or like 6 onwards, the Dragon Engine ones anyway, to go back to like 3, 4, and 5 is a bit more difficult. Not bad games, but they definitely can do with an update. And yeah, I would imagine that's going to happen at some point. So yeah, don't worry about it, guys. There's still going to be more Yakuza. But yeah, just really interested. So I'm just wondering, are we going to get a Yakuza 9 as well? Who knows? Because obviously, 7 and 8 were both kind of the RPGs. And, just seeing what they do, if there is a Yakuza 9, will it continue on with the story, with that style of game? Or is that just going to be it with the series moving forward? And it's just going to be a few kind of remakes and stuff. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, but I don't believe there was any kind of release date on this. It's just kind of like the first thing. But I would probably imagine like maybe a 2026 or something like that. Yeah, because, this is still, it looks still kind of relatively early in development anyway. But at least we got some actual gameplay, or what looks like gameplay, which is cool. Getting to see a bit of the battle system. It does look a little bit more kind of slow and deliberate, but maybe that's just one of the fighting styles or something, who knows. But anyway, guys, that's basically everything I have to say about the game. It looks awesome. I'm actually super hyped. I think there's a level of quality from this studio. All of these games have looked amazing. Played really well. They kind of, there's just so much to do in them. I just love, one thing I really love about the Yakuza games in general is they have the sandbox as opposed to the open world. One thing I love about the sandbox is it's about having a dense area that has a lot to do, and it's so much better than having just a giant Ubisoft style open world that's boring as hell. And yeah, it's just going to be cool to see what they do. But anyway, guys, have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you in the next one.